advice and hikmah, sharing of the hikmah of the Quran and the Sunnah. When we talk about the structure of the family, we want to differ between structure and the function. Function and structure. Sometimes people function as a family, and sometimes people have structure but they are not functioning as a family. We talked in an earlier lecture about husband and wife as the foundation of the family, asas. And if the asas or the foundation is strong, on the basis of the taqwa of Allah, the basis of the fear of Allah, the basis of the shahada, as the Shaykh mentioned, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah, makes all the other pillars easy for you. When that foundation is strong, then the structure will be maintained and will continue to function. When you have children, and those children will get married, and they will have grandchildren, and the family will get bigger. So the structure stays there. It does not decimate, or does not disassemble, and they get divided. And once, as the Sheikh said, become 16, they know it all, then they can figure it all, and they are on their own. And there is no structure, right? And only they will meet each other in the Christmas time, the Thanksgiving. Hi mom, hi dad, how are you doing? Old folks said, old folks, old guy, old woman, like that. So even though the structure looks there technically, but it's not functioning properly. Sometimes also you have a structure. Husband, wife, as a father and mother, and the children living under the same ceiling. And that's what I want to emphasize on. Wake up in the morning, and the first thing, the father looks on his side, picks up his phone and Facebook. And then the mother goes to the kitchen on YouTube. And then the kids wake up in the bathroom on their iPod. And then, they are eating breakfast while everybody's looking at his own thing.
Yes,
You
sir.
see that ad, that comes in the
That's
TV.
That's a
So,
real thing. That's
they-
not the ad. That's
They
real.
invented something like the paper grinder that to turn all the Wi-Fi off. They make an experiment. You go check it out. I don't know if it's true experiment or not, but there were like some experiment there. So they put like a chip there. So when they turn it as if they are grinding some pepper, it turns all the electronics off in the house. In the beginning, everybody started cursing. Right? So the mom comes and she says, lunch. Okay, I'm coming. And they are on their iPod. And the guy is like doing this. So everybody's sitting on the table and they are everyone in their own world. So there is a structure there, but there is no function. You understand why I'm using that? Yeah, so there is no function. There is no communication. We are physically there, but there is no spirit. And then, she turns it off. So the TV turned off and the iPod off, and everybody said, what happened? And everybody's like running to fix the issue because they want to go back to their virtual reality, right? Not to the reality, but to their virtual reality. After a while, when they give up, right, they cannot fix it, so they all sat in the dinner table, they started looking at each other and started talking and enjoying the dinner. I think that sums up the lecture, right? That sums up the lecture for you now. So we are in the time and age now, we are distracted by all means. And I was talking to somebody before the lecture, I was saying that in capitalist societies, material society as this one, we have two problems. And they apply whether you are a father or a mother or grandfather or old, young, doctor, this, that, doesn't matter what's your culture, what is your background. Those two problems are there and we are suffering from them as Muslims. At this masjid, at your home, at my home, everything. Routine mentality and consumer mentality. Routine mentality and consumer mentality. I want you to repeat them so you can understand. Routine mentality, say it.
Routine mentality.
And then consumer mentality.
Consumer mentality.
Routine mentality, I have to pray 5 times a day. So let me get over with. That's why you find people coming at the Iqamah time and at the last 5 minutes of Jumu'ah. Right? That's brothers understand that, sister. Brothers know what I'm talking about. Okay? Routine mentality. Fasting, Ramadan, that means you have to go shopping. That's your department now. Right? So we have to go shopping, we have to go to this store, we have to go to this store, pile up and stuff the things. Routine, huh? So Ramadan has a certain routine and we need to achieve that routine. So there is a goal. The Salah, 8 rak'ah in Ramadan, in the Hajj is like that, in Jum'ah is like that, and this is Hajj, this is Umrah. Sheikh, tell me what should I do, how I do tawaf, so I want to finish my Hajj. That's called what? Routine mentality. So it is not what the ibadah is for, is to discipline my life, is to straighten my family, is to raise my kids, is to be good to my husband, to be good to my wife. It's not like that. It is a routine. So marriage for routine, having children for routine. I am working to have a college fund. My kids need to go to college because this is a routine, because that's why I'm married, that's what I need to do at this moment. Right? So I get married, and 2 months after marriage, my parents ask, no kids coming in the way? I just got married 2 months ago. I said, but that's what happens. We were worried about you getting married. Now you got married, we were worried about having children. Then you have a child. Fi second child or not? So routine, right? Then you know which school you want to get your children. And how much money you saving. Did you buy a house? What is the mortgage? What is the car? What are your routines, right? We're forgetting the purpose of having a family, a purpose of getting married. Why we need to please Allah Azza wa Jalla. Why I need to pick this wife who's going to be the mother of my children. How can I pick that man who's going to be the father of my children, be a partner for life, who's going to be in this dunya and in akhirah, who's going to help me to please Allah. That is not in the picture. It is all with the routine what? Mentality. Then consumer mentality. Let's go to Masjid Champion. Why? Because there is a conference there. But you know what? There is a famous speaker coming in downtown. Oh, let's go to that one. Shopping, right? Because I want that autograph. I want the Facebook post that I'm pictured with that Sheikh. Sheikh Abdullah Bidhak, right? Yeah, so I want a picture with that Sheikh. Where's Sheikh Abdullah Uduru today at the, enjoying a lecture with Sheikh Mamdouh Mahmoud,
Live.
Subhanallah, consumer mentality. I'm sorry, brother, but I am part of you too. I am thinking aloud here. I'm not accusing anybody. I'm not in a pedestal here. I'm not exempting myself from this. We are discussing our issue. So please, take it seriously. I'm not putting it in a humorous way, but it is a serious issue. It's a serious issue. And consumer mentality? Most of the marital problems that comes to me over this last 20 years, because of this very reason, consumer mentality. How you might ask? How you might ask? The wife had a list of expectations from her husband, right? She sees them in other husbands, but it is not in hers. She's depressed. Because she cannot shop now, right? She's stuck with this guy now, this merchandise here. All right? She's stuck with what she got herself into. All right? This is one-time shopping in your life. Once you get to it, khalas, consumer mentality. This measurement does not apply to your husband. And this measurement, brothers, does not apply to your wife. You're seeing all these women in the world. Your wife cannot be all these women. Your husband cannot be all this man. A sheikh, a religious man, pious, he prays, and he does not look to any other woman. How are you going to get that full package? You have consumer mentality, you will suffer. You have consumer mentality, you will suffer. Your life, when it is based on that concept, is a problem. It's a problem. You want to apply everything you see outside in your home because this is shopping mentality, right? And again, routine mentality makes the life stale as well. The life is enjoyable because it is ups and downs, ebbs and flows, issues, discussions. You challenge each other. It's easy for me as a husband when I say something and then my wife proves me wrong. What? You don't know anything. Just walk away, right? What did I do now? The problem remains, right? Problem remains. It's going to happen again and again. I'm shutting her down, shutting her off, shutting. Then later on, when really I need her help, she's not going to give it. And it goes the other way around. You see the beautiful example that the Sheikh shared with Salama? It happened also with Aisha at the time of Hajj. Salama was at the time of Sulh al-Hudaybiyah time, and the Sahaba refused, they kind of like hard. You come all the way on Umrah this, and we don't do Umrah, and you still tell us to shave and all. We don't want to fight. Then by role modeling, and a woman, subhanAllah, the wife of Rasulullah, saved the Ummah. Saved the Ummah. At the time of Hajj, Hajjat al-Wada', the Arab, the Bedouins, all the time until that moment, they did not know what Umrah at the month of Hajj means. There was no such a thing. From Shawwal, Dhul Qa'dah, Dhul Hijjah, nobody does Umrah. Umrah can be any time of the year, right? But at this time, you do only what? Hajj. So if Ramadan finished, first of Shawwal, somebody put ihram clothes, does not take it off until the 10th of the Hijjah. Is that clear? So they knew that. So now, Rasul sallallahu alayhi wasallam, they made tawaf and sa'i, and then he ordered the Sahaba, whoever did not bring their camel and sheep and with them, take off your thing and the shave. That's called the Umrah. Huh? What? In the months of Hajj, this, that, so they kind of felt. And the same thing they refused to do, hesitated. Yeah. So Rasul sallallahu alayhi wasallam entered the tent of Aisha. He said, I'm afraid to tell them twice. The curse of Allah come upon them, or something happens. Adhab of Allah comes. So she told him, Ya Rasulullah, and you know what they are used to and all, just do in front of them and they will follow you. Same thing happened. So the Ummah was saved what? Twice. Because of the mashura of the woman, subhanAllah. So this is how our family structure should function. So you might have the structure, but you don't have the function. And I told you the function is because of those two problems. If your life is just a routine, I am a husband, I have to wake up, I have to go to work, and I have to come, and my wife has to do da 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 da, like this. And the wife, I am the wife, and I'm doing this, and I'm that, and I'm expecting that. Unless you talk with each other and figure this out, and get out of this routine mentality and this consumer mentality, you will have a problem all the time. Right? And the children are the byproduct of that. Children will be always the product of that. And guess what? It is not only looking at them as children. No. I want you to look at them as, in 15, 20 years, they are in your shoes. You are one family, one husband, one wife. But if you have 4 children, that is how 4 families going to exactly do in 10 years, 15 years from now. So you see what you're doing? So actually it can be positive, it can be what? Negative. So your structure of family life and function, it is going to be 4, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, it depends how many children you have, how smart, mashallah, you are, and how good you are. How many children you have. That's how many times your model going to be repeated. So don't look to yourself and be selfish only as a wife or as a husband on what you want to get from the other side. We want to get above that. So family structure and way of life, what we mean by it, is how you draw from Quran and Sunnah to your reality. Our deen is beautiful, my brothers and sisters. Our deen is amazing. There is part of deen which is static, does not change. And there is part of the deen which is dynamic. And the dynamic part is much bigger than the static part. Right? You have to do shahada, salah is your backbone, zakah, siyam, and hajj. You have to believe the 6 pillars of faith. But how we deal with each other, it's a very vast thing. That's why I find fatwas and fiqh changing all the time. Right? Our communication skills also has to be based on the knowledge and the culture that we live in. Okay, I was talking to the youth upstairs, and I am talking to them, and in my mind, I'm saying, am I really saying these things? Because when I was young, it's like, what? What you talking about, right? Like, if the girl passing in the street, and you looked at the girl passing in the street, you go to your friend, you know what, she was passing today, and I looked at her for 1 minute. Right? This is the end of the story. Right? And then you live with that beautiful feeling for the rest of your life. Until you get to the next crush and the next crush and the next crush. Right? But now, it's a completely different game. Right? Completely different game. 5th grade, 3rd grade. Oh, I like that boy. Did you tell him? Yeah, I told him. I like you so much, and I like that, and he likes her, and everything. And they see in the TV, see in the TV, that's my boyfriend, that's my girlfriend. Third graders. In the cartoon, wallahi, ya akhwan. Do you see the cartoon that your kids watching now? If you don't see it, there's two musibas now, right? So, if you don't see it, musiba. If you don't see it, two musibas, right? So, they are talking about that. So, we have to use this, and you have to modify what the foundation of our religion to benefit our children. So, the communication between husband and wife in America, it is not like the communication between husband and wife in Al-Qasim, ولا في القاهرة, ولا في, Said في Egypt, or, Peshawar in Pakistan. Is not, it's different. And if you bring that kind of culture and mentality here, that becomes a problem. So to summarize everything I mentioned, so we can take the question and answer, as the Sheikh mentioned and what I said, is like this family structure. You have to draw upon the deen of Allah Azza wa Jal. You have to see your realities around you. You have to get over this issue for a routine. You have to ask yourself how to maintain this marriage, how this structure is very important in our life. The core of our society is family. The foundation of the family is husband and wife. And because they're so important, the relationship has to be maintained well. You have to know about your deen, and you have to know about your surroundings. And don't let the distractions take you away. Okay? With this consumer mentality and shopping and doing all of this. And then, by the routine, it is just a routine. Let me get over with, I need to get the groceries, and I need to clean, and I need to do that, and that's it. Then you become depressed later on. And depression is a real issue. Mental health and psychological health in this world, at this time, there are two serious issues. You see what is happening around you. Muslims, when they are terrorists, they are not different than the others when they are terrorists. When they call others, this is mentally sick. Big possibility that they are mentally sick. But also the Muslims, they are also mentally sick, right? So they have psychological problems. So please focus on this idea of, structure and function. Remember that. You might have the structure, but that's not the fulfillment. You say, Shaykh, alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah. I'm married, Allah bless me with a good husband, good wife, and I have 2 children. They go to the Islamic school, they go to weekend school at Masjid Salam. Everything, Shaykh, is beautiful. Well, sorry, you are in denial. Right? Because that might be good. I ask Allah that it is as simple as you just said. I ask Allah Azza wa Jalla, it's as simple as you just said, but it's not, unfortunately. I am not born and raised here, but there are many of my friends born and raised here, and they tell me what they went through. Being Muslims, being your children, whom you see them in a certain way, they are not like that all the time. They are under so much pressure, they are exposed to many things, and they do many things that you do not necessarily see. Alright? So you have the structure, great, but you have to make sure that that structure is functioning properly. Your way of life. Please, as the Sheikh said, more salah at your home. Sunnah. Lead the jama'ah at your home, brothers. Quran has to be a routine at your home. The good routine, has to be there. You have to share some activities. Take your children and visit someone sick. The sisters, the social life is not only going with your friends to the mall or for a dinner or for a lunch. Your children also have a right. Socialize. That's why when they get to the age of marriage, they see their options open. Their options open. We are not only meeting for salah and lectures like this. We are meeting for social events as well. So when my child is in the age of marriage, your daughter in the age of marriage, he knows 5, 10, 15 families to choose from, and goes vice versa. I hope my message is clear and it reached, inshallah, Rabbil Alameen. The questions, inshallah, we'll divide them, inshallah. What does Islam say about getting married at an early age, 20, 25 for boys and girls? How should we be parents convince them to marry? Kids nowadays wait too long. 20, 25 is an early age? Are you kidding me? 20, 25, they have 2 children already. Yeah. But anyways, it is a relative thing. Actually, I was talking to the kids upstairs, and they were going to have a coup against you very soon, right? I told them, 25, but 17 when she got married. I proposed to her when she was 16, but we finished the marriage when it's 17. And alhamdulillah, we're married for 17 years now. So alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. So what I'm telling you, like, I told my children, my son is sitting here somewhere, I told him, now you are 16. If there is a girl that you have a serious feeling for, ask yourself a question. Is this the one that you want to spend your life with? And I'll take care of the rest. I'm going to go convince her parents, inshallah, and we're going to get you married. Even if you cannot fulfill your financial responsibilities, I'll take care of both of you. I'm serious, I'm not joking now. I'll take care of both of you. But haram is not accepted. Zina is not accepted. Dating is not accepted. Right? I tell my 14-year-old the same thing. Even, and I'm going to shock you now, even if this marriage doesn't work, I'm still okay with it. Even if this marriage does not work later, I'm still okay with it. Because you know, zawaj and talaq, they are both in our deen, right? But zina is haram. Zina is a kabira. And our consumer mentality and our culture now, we can accept the haram, but we have lots of restrictions for the halal. You agree with me or not? We might accept that your son or your daughter have a boyfriend or girlfriend and kind of take it with a grain of salt. But for them to marry when they are 17 and 18, oh, what the sheikh is talking about now? I will leave you with that thought, right? So, marriage, as long as you will find that they are ready physically and mentally, they are stable, financially it should not be the problem. I got married in Oklahoma after finishing high school. And he stayed at his parents, she stayed at her parents. And the 4 years until they finished bachelor degree, they were married, but they consummated the marriage only after they finished. But they go together and all that. And I call it Zoj friend, like boyfriend. Zoj friend. Zoj friend, huh? Zoj friend and Zoja friend. No boyfriend, girlfriend, alright? So remember that mamduh term now, huh?
Please advise my child we raised him to the best of our ability, gave him the best education and the best Islamic knowledge. Now, when he grew up, he became strong. He raised his voice on us and uses bad language with us and even much more. Please advise him and all of his peers. Really, again, it comes back to when we say we raise him to the best of our ability. Alhamdulillah, we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to reward you for that. And gave him the best education and the best Islamic knowledge. You providing the best education, the best Islamic knowledge, that you have to ask yourself, how was that manifested? Was it just paying the tuition for them to get into school, and when they got home from school there was no supplementation at their home? Or was there an essential practice within the home? Was there consistent life lessons, lifelong lessons in the home from the father and the mother? As he mentioned with the cultural clash, a lot of times you will see this when it comes to fathers and mothers that do their best. Wallahi, they do their best. But due to the fact that there's a culture clash and their children are the first generation American in the household, sometimes it is true that you may not get and understand where they're coming from or what they're facing, as the Sheikh said. And this is where it's very important to have that communal structure, to where when the child reaches that age of puberty or they reach the age where they're in high school, they're going to have Muslim friends that may be affected by immoral practices, and they will raise their voice at you, and so on and so forth. Again, we always have to remember, I remember one brother told me this on the phone. His brother has about 8 kids, and mashallah, may Allah preserve him and his children. He said, Wallahi, akhi, what I've seen, no one can place iman in the children except Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Wallahi, you can do your best, but you always have to make dua to Allah at the young age, not when they reach the age of you seeing simat, you see signs of disobedience. When they're at their young age, 5, 6, 7, when they're young, make dua for them that Allah protects them and makes them of the salihin and the salihat. Continuing to make dua in the beginning, the middle, and the end. Because with this, you see that they can be affected by their friends. And, as we see with the son of Nuh, alayhi salam, he said that I will go to this Jabal, I will go to this mountain when there was a flood. And this is the son of Nuh, alayhi salam, and some of the sons of Ya'qub. So we can't say, okay, they have the Islamic education, they have a good education, they will be saved. As he mentioned again, Sometimes they may put us in a state of denial. Not my child. It can be any one of our children. That's why ultimately we always have to make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And what's upon you, fathers and mothers, is that you try your best. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, وَالَّذِينَ جَاهَدُوا فِينَا لَنَهْدِيَنَّهُمْ سُبُلَنَا. And those who strive in our path, we will guide them to our way. Striving, work in our path. Sincerity. So work in sincerity. Do the best that you can. And you may not see the results that you want, but you never know. That child that you have that has went far left may face a near-death experience which will bring them back to the deen. How many children have I seen that they were born Muslims and they said, my father, my mother, they tried their best, but I just got caught up in the peer pressure and I was depressed and I couldn't talk to my parents. But due to this event, due to this friend, so on and so forth, it has brought me back and made me consciously practice my deen. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to protect you and to protect your child and the ones that have these type of manners, to make them with someone that recollect and to make tawbah and to be of good people, inshallah.
A good question came about the jama'ah in the masjid, and I said, we have jama'ah at home. Just a little clarification. Of course, the jama'ah at the masjid, but if the masjid is far, if the masjid it is hard, or there's time constraint or anything like that, then when you find yourself have to pray at home, try to make that in jama'ah. That's one of the things I meant. The other thing, that the sister also can have the jama'ah with her kids as well. She can lead, the daughters, or if her son can lead the salah, he leads the salah, and make the jama'ah at home. Or you can make jama'ah in some, prayer, nafil or something like that. So it is a point that we do the ibadah together. So that's what I meant about that. There's another question here in the same regard. I hope I understood it right, but maybe there's some parts it's not clear about also that family living together with a newlywed couple. About I don't know if it's about prayer also about that, but it is very, very important to keep, as I said, the structure of the family and the function of the family and advise nicely. There is also another question: how to deal with teenagers or young. Communication is key. But how to do the communication is the most important thing. We say communication is key. Let's communicate. But communication is not a one-way traffic. That your children or the young generation or your son-in-law or daughter-in-law, they are always receiving from you your orders, or they are receiving from you criticism. Then it is not communication. I'm sorry. That's not called communication. All the people come, Sheikh, would you advise my son-in-law or my daughter-in-law or my son or my daughter? All right, what is the problem? Now listen to this. They're not going to tell me the problem, right? Sheikh, I want you to tell them 1, 2, 3, 4. صح شيخ عبد الله؟ عارف انت الكلام. So he knows. So a sister comes to me and says, Sheikh, I have a problem with my husband. Please tell him 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, Sheikh, my wife is not listening to me. Would you please you have a sister's class, right? Would you please tell her 1, 2, 3, 4. MashaAllah. Is this communication for you guys? This is communication with the children. Sheikh, inshallah, in your teenage class, I want you to tell the children 1, 2, 3. طب ما تيجي انت تقول. You come tell them, MashaAllah. Why you don't tell your own children? Me closer to them or you closer to them? If you cannot talk to your wife about what you want her to do, if you cannot talk to your husband about what you want him to do, if you cannot talk to your in-laws, if you cannot talk to your parents-in-laws, come on. Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. It is very ironical. It is very ironical. You cannot communicate with your children and you wanted the sheikh to tell them how to behave nicely with you. So what are you doing? You just got married and have kids. And then the sheikh will tell them how to deal with you nicely? No. You are having communication with them all the time, and when a problem comes, I will help you to solve, inshallah. But it is not me who tells your children what to do all the time. It's just in general lectures like that. I hope you got my point here, right? Yeah. So when we say communication is clear, is key, communication has to be clear, right? So your children or the other side not only receiving from you what you want them to do. That's not communication. You have to listen from them also what they want and what they like and what they don't like. It might be right, might be wrong, might be offensive, might be hurtful, might be anything. But that's how they hear you as well. Alright? So if you get hurt from your spouse, they get hurt from you for sure as well, right? If your children are not listening to you, you are also not listening to them. So communication go both ways. And you have to listen to most of the things that you don't like in communication, you know? You have to listen, and that's how you become successful. I was telling my son a couple of days ago, told him, you know what is the benefit of having people who criticize you? What is the benefit of that? Of having people criticize you? If you take it as offensive all the time, you will never become sharper in your thinking. Never. Because you take it to the heart and you take it personally. I am the sheikh, how come he tells me that? I am the father, how come I am the husband? How dare you, come up and talk to me like this? Right? That is a problem. You will never get sharper in your thinking, you will never make right decisions, better decisions. But you know what is the benefit when people keep criticizing you? You keep correcting yourself. Right? You hear what you don't like and you become better. Why? Because now I know before I'm going to give you the next advice, all these can criticize me. Okay? So now the advice is refined in my head before I even say it. I keep refining my ideas, right? So next time when I throw something in discussion, I know that it can be criticized, so I keep refining it. What is the result of that? I become wise. I become a wiser person. I become a wiser person. That's why I say, oh, he's wise. You know he's wise? What is he wise? Because he was challenged all his life until he reached that stage of wisdom. People disagreed, people hurt, people kicked, people did, and then he becomes wise because of all those challenges. So you go and ask them for wisdom. They tell you, no, you do this. No, be patient. No, just be patient, right? Do this, do that. Now you can do. And you find that wisdom. So inshallah, Rabbil Alameen, communication is very important in that.
Really, when he says, there's a question here, how to attract the youth to the masjid. Give them positions of empowerment. When we talk about the young professionals, the collegiates, the ones that are in the MSAs, allow them to be in the zonal council. Nominate them to be in the zonal council. It's not a basketball game and a lecture. It doesn't stop at a basketball game and then have one of them give a lecture and none of the elders are there to hear them talk. Give them positions of empowerment. This is the sunnah of the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Do not be afraid to let your throne be dethroned or a coup to happen. There has to be, if you want them to come to the masjid, there has to be someone that they look up to indirectly, besides their fathers, inshallah, someone that is a little older than them or their age that has a position of somewhat of power in the masjid. So having one of them being the executive, being the not maybe the associate or executive or someone on the zonal, at least on the zonal council, at least, because they will feel that they have a position of ownership within the community, a position of ownership. And I think that's one of the strongest ways. Basketball games and lectures are great, they're good, and it's something that is effective for the younger age group. Allowing them to come up after the salah, whether they're the ages of 10 to 15, and read a hadith from Riyadh al-Salihin after Maghrib, letting them come up occasionally, reading a verse in the Quran, and then letting someone older than them, that's 20, 25, explain the verse in the Quran, having a town center meeting, a town hall meeting to where you have ones especially for the youth to hear their issues, allowing them to write a petition to where they can write their names, and you will do something to change in the masjid. Other than that, they're not going to come. And there's so many more. There's two questions I think I can join in both. How do you balance the relationship between the spouse and the parents, and what should I do about a person in a higher authority in the family with the short fuse that doesn't pray with us and everyone else? The person that has a short fuse in the family, if he is an elder, if he is someone that is the grandfather, or he is someone that has come from another area, Firstly, as the Sheikh mentioned, we have to realize and understand, the culture when it comes to communication. To know the Sunnah of the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is universal. It doesn't stop at one culture. It doesn't excuse one culture from their practice. Although the culture is something that maintains harmony within a group or within a household, but understanding there are sometimes you can't do anything. Especially if they're at that age to where you are taking care of them as the mother, as the father, and that's the child's grandfather or grandmother. They have a short fuse because when they see your young children, they don't want to hear the loud voice, they don't want to hear them playing around. You as a father and mother have to be patient. And this is your test from Allah. Because there's sometimes you can't do anything. Whether it's a mother-in-law that despises her daughter-in-law because she's jealous, because he's the only son. There's sometimes to where all you can do is make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and always be a muhsin, always be good to them. Because you're doing it for Allah. You're not doing it for a positive response from that person. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was good to Abu Lahab and was good to the mushrikun at that time because it was for Allah. Sometimes didn't expect to see the results. When you give advice, don't expect to see the results that you want to see. When you give charity, don't expect to see the results that you want to see. Do it because Allah wants you to, and that is how you get closer to Allah. And when you do that, you make dua, you continue for that person, for that organization, for that masjid or group of people. And that's how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can change, because He's muqallib al-qulub. He is the one that flips the hearts. I hope that answers the question. Jazakumullah khairan.
Inshallah, I have about 5 minutes, so inshallah I'm going to try quickly to answer those few questions here. Is it wise to have kids when you don't have a stable job? Since you have to be able to provide for the child. Actually, Allah Azza wa Jal answered that in the Quran. He said, نَحْنُ نَرْزُقُهُمْ وَإِيَّاكُمْ. We provide them. Before even they come, Allah Azza wa Jal is talking about having children. We will provide them and you. So that means you will have rizq, provision because of them. And you can ask many parents, subhanAllah, that they had a certain financial situation, and when they have children, the rizq increased. Because you ask Allah Azza wa Jal, how Allah will give you the responsibility of a human life and abandon your rizq? How this is going to happen? So you think you're the one who's going to provide them? Allah is the one who provides them. Someone came to, I'm not sure it's a hadith or an athar, but I'm sure it is there, that someone came and asked that I have problem financial. He was told to go get married. So he got married and all the problems not solved, but it became easier, alhamdulillah. So having the kids, it is not a reason for tighter rizq. Actually, it is for the other way around with Allah's help. Anybody want to make wudu? You can make wudu now, inshallah, because Isha is going to be directly after the lecture. What are the qualities to look for in a son-in-law and a daughter-in-law? Reference Quran and Hadith. Come on, they are everywhere. But the Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he said, give us one condition, two conditions for the male, and he gave us one condition for the female. He said the female is to be proposed for her beauty, her family, her status, her family, her beauty, her family, and her money, and then her religion. Then Rasulullah said, win the religious part, that otherwise you become loser. So, we look for the daughter or the girl who have religion. So if your son is going to get married, you look for the girl who's raised in a religious, pious family. And that tells all of us, when you have daughters, you raise them in a good environment, because this is what a religious boy will be looking for. So don't come and say, why our Muslim boys are looking somewhere else? You have to establish that environment. And it goes the other way around. Rasulullah said, when a boy knocks your door and you are satisfied with their morals, their manners, and their religion, then get them married at once. Otherwise you are making or contributing to corruption on earth. So the religion is the foundation you look for, and then you can ask the Imam of the Masjid. If it's a boy, ask the Imam of the Masjid, does he come to prayer? And you can ask the peers, you can ask the people. And this is why I said social activities as a community, they are important. Because if someone come and ask you about someone, you know them, you see them, you had fun with them, you had activities with them, we ate together, we enjoyed together, we also pray together. But prayer alone is not enough picture, right? So you need that social family, inshallah. Next question, what does Islam, means Quran and the Hadith, talk about kids marriage. And I think I already answered that in the, once they reach the age, Rasulullah said, من استطاع منكم الباءة فليه تزوج. يا معشر الشباب, or community of youth. And Rasulullah was talking to those who reach the age of puberty, 11, 12, 13 years old. Abdullah ibn Amr ibn al-As, he was married when he was 10, and he had his first child when he was 11. The youngest age gap between, the shortest age gap between a father and a son in history of Islam is between Amr ibn al-As and his son, Abdullah ibn Amr. So, Amr ibn al-As, he married in Jahiliyyah before Islam, right? But his son was 11 years younger than his father, right? And girls was commonly married like 9 and 10 and 11 years old, but that's not our story now. But I'm just telling you, once they are ready, Rasulullah was talking to a community like this. Okay, so when we say youth who can afford to get married, let them afford, means if your parents can afford to get married, you need to get married. Alright? So it's not only you have to earn, otherwise you will stay forever, right? Especially in this economy and this time. So if the parents can afford for their children to get married, let them get married, inshallah. طبعا somebody sent, I think it's a feedback, before the intimate relationship, husband and wife should ask Allah Azza wa Jalla the dua to keep the shaitan away and all that. But that's not enough. Don't think you make the dua and inshallah, the kid will come an angel, right? Right? So you still have to know what you're doing. You're listening to music, or listening to Quran, you're earning money halal, you're earning money haram. You make the dua, yes, at that time. But there is lots of maintenance that goes with it as well. Alright? What if you keep trying, but your wife does not get out from the consumer mentality? I think she has the gold credit card. No matter what you do, it has been many years, the structure is there, but there is no function. I ask Allah Azza wa Jalla the Almighty to make it function, inshallah, say Ameen. And inshallah, you need to talk about it, but I think you need to give more attention to your wife. That's my advice to the brother who sent this question. You need to give more attention to your wife. Because if you travel a lot, or if you work a lot, she will find her solace in the credit card and the mall, right? But if you are there, you're giving attention, you're giving love, you're taking care, subhanallah, that is more than enough for majority of the sisters. More than enough, they feel safe, they feel good, and alhamdulillah, no money can buy that love, right? So when you give it, inshallah, it will be balanced for you, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. And I think, we're done with the questions. Somebody give that last question.